when we compute on a person, we can actually use AI to derive, this is going to be the most optimal set of objects that we may want to recommend to them.
Hi, this is another episode of Powered by Snowflake, where I interview technology leaders who are building businesses and applications on Snowflake. Today, we will be learning about how Zeta has built an AI-driven marketing platform. And with me to talk about this is Ryohei Okabe. Ryohei, how are you today?
Hey, Daniel, I'm doing well.
Awesome. So, to kick this off, tell me more about what exactly is, your background in this space, and what is Zeta and the problem that Zeta solves?
Sure. Once again, my name is Ryohei Okabe. I'm Senior Director of Product over here on the Zeta Marketing Platform. I'm normally based out of our New York office in Manhattan, but more recently out of New Jersey, either in my living room or my daughter's bedroom sometimes. From a product management perspective, I really focus heavily on the data connectivity and activation on the platform. So we're going to see a little bit of that. But I've more broadly worked with data-driven marketing platforms for over a decade. From a Zeta perspective, we were founded in 2007 by our current CEO, David Steinberg, and John Scully, ex-CEO of many companies. And from day one, it's what's carried all the way through to today is the concept of data-driven marketing. And along the way there, we realized there's just so much data. We need to bring in more layers of AI to make that easier. And so as the amount of data increased, we put more effort into making that data easier to use for marketers so that they can reach their customers, acquire new customers, grow their existing customers, and retain their existing customers as well.
So that's a pretty powerful platform that you built. How did you land and choose Snowflake to build this platform on top of?
Yeah, so that's actually a great question. We originally started with a pretty modern cloud-based infrastructure without Snowflake. And we assessed Snowflake and realized there were so many benefits that we actually went through and transitioned and moved a lot of our compute and storage, basically all of it, onto Snowflake. So the way the data is structured on our platform, we have a centralized data cloud of Zeta data that allows us to drive interests based on billions and billions of signals. And on top, next to that, kind of parallel to that, we also have basically our clients bring their first party data sets of customers. And so all of that now exists in Snowflake. So much processing and so much compute happens on all aspects of this, whether you're working on just your first party data or just within our own data cloud. And then when we match against that data, we use the interest derived from that data cloud to better serve our clients and their customers.
That's awesome. And so, I saw that you guys recently went IPO last year. Tell me a little bit about that, kind of the journey that you've taken from pre-IPO to now you're IPO. How has that changed the company and the product?
Yeah, that's another good one. We really we're investing so heavily in the product for really the last decade, but that's continued to grow exponentially. And in 2017, we acquired a company called Boomtrain, which was entirely an AI-driven marketing automation tool, but was focused more on small business. And we actually took the modern technology out of that. A lot of use cases that we had with our history in database management and email marketing and marketing automation in general, and combined those use cases into a single powerful platform, the Zeta Marketing Platform. And so pre-IPO, we actually were building this platform, putting it through analyst reviews, and we actually ended up doing quite well in a few analyst reviews overall with our CDP and our ESP. And we felt it was a really good time. We already had tons of enterprise clients, large scale, pushing terabytes and terabytes of data, computing terabytes of data on Snowflake. And we wanted to, really get ourselves into a position to continue to grow more by going public.
That's exciting. So, one of the things I always ask folks is, I want to get hands-on. Like, can we see a demo here today?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we see here is the Zeta marketing platform. I'm going to start in the context of a single person. This is a helpful storytelling tool. This will give you a sense of the type of customer data that a business may be wanting to keep on their customers so that they can communicate with them cleanly, whether it's for marketing or customer service. One of the most frustrating things is if you call customer service and they figure out who you are, and they need to know exactly what you bought. And when they get that wrong, or they say, no, you absolutely got this message, or they have no idea, all that discrepancy creates a lot of confusion and a lot of pain in that relationship from the client to the customer. And so what you'll see here is kind of the data. All of this data here is sitting within Snowflake. While it's one person, for many clients, it's tens of millions, potentially hundreds of millions of these customers. And we'll also see various Snowflake compute and data that we on all of this underlying raw data. So here we're taking a look at example customer here. We'll pulling out some key properties, but you can see a whole stream of events. With our platform, we have a site integration where clients can basically put a pretty lightweight JavaScript beacon on their site, and you get your basic site metrics. But we also have APIs and API and file-based ingestion, as well as Snowflake shares to receive events and activities on a person. All of the activity that we get on a person basically also comes with a pretty hefty amount of metadata. So I can see here, even on this site visit, you can see all the metadata that's tracked in that event. And so we actually have a schemaless data structure that Snowflake allows us to set up, and really scalably allows clients to bring in any new data, make changes on their site, and capture it all the way through. You'll see other events in here as well, because our platform takes all that data, processes it, computes it, makes decisions, and then allows you to even message to the customer. So there is a full email platform, SMS capabilities, and push capabilities in this platform. In addition, we have a DSP for programmatic. And we're also releasing a brand new site personalization tool on top of existing site personalization capabilities that we already have. On top of that event data, we also, at each person, we have the data that you might bring in, really basic data that you might have, because you do need to communicate back and forth. You may need to store that data. You may base some targeting and messaging based on location, or flags, engagement, any data that you want. And all of this data can be passed through and with additional metadata or as nested JSON objects. So it can be super flexible in terms of how we store it. On top of that, all the events and the existing properties allow us to also derive Zeta properties. So these are additional properties that are kind of flat values that are easy to target, easy to use. And we always think about not just getting the data in one place, but bringing it to a point where somebody could just make a simple decision on it, a flag, yes, no flag, a score, and say, hey, well, we have a high propensity likeliness to score or churn. All that data gets processed in here or brought in and combined with other data to be processed further. Per person, we also have this whole setup of AI-driven recommendations. So for different clients, for retail, well, many cases it's products. For publishers, it's articles. And sometimes it could be really anything you want. It could even be stores, agents, whoever you may want to work with. If it was real estate, it could be properties. This free-form structure allows us to handle all these objects with all this metadata. And then when we compute on a person, we can actually use AI to derive, this is going to be the most optimal set of objects that we may want to recommend to them. And then we do that regularly. And when you go to use the recommendations, you can say, hey, I want to grab some subset. So maybe I want to grab similar products or accessories or something within a certain category. And you can use all of this, really drive some really personalized messaging.
That's pretty powerful. So one of the things I saw, on your website, for example, is, how the data flows, right? So you're ingesting a lot of data to be able to make these types of insights. Tell me a little bit more on what are those data points that you're ingesting, and how are you actually getting that data into Snowflake?
Yeah. So really all the data that ends up in the platform is on Snowflake, because that's where we're actually storing all the points of the customer data. So we do get that data in a number of ways. We have a full set of real-time APIs, and that's if you need to get the message in immediately and also react to it immediately. In many cases, that message is going to come directly from an API from some other system or from the site integration. And so we'll trigger maybe a direct confirmation. For batch data, we have our data conductor where we can actually grab data from various sources and pull them down into the ZMP. But we can also use the data conductor to actually pull data out of the ZMP or various Snowflake sources and make it easier to connect with different systems. And so with our clients, we have many clients on Snowflake that we have some smooth data shares with, but there are also clients that aren't on Snowflake outside of the ZMP. And so their data is sitting in Snowflake on the ZMP, but they need to get data from other sources, bring it into Snowflake. They need to get data in Snowflake, bring it to other places. And so we understand there's this whole network of data where within the data connector, we allow, for instance, the ability to pull directly from a Snowflake source, write a query against that data. So you can pick a pre-existing query, run it on a recurring schedule, and you can actually take that data, run further transformations on that data, whether you need to mask something or maybe do some other concatenation with some other set of data. And we'll just maybe say, pretend we're masking some data in here, pull some fields in here and call it masked email.
And as you're writing that, for the viewers that might not be familiar with what a data share is, can you explain what, from a Snowflake side, what is a data share and how exactly does that benefit customers and Zeta in this case?
All of our clients traditionally, when you're moving large sets of data, you're moving files, CSVs, kind of comma separated, tab delimited, pipe delimited files that are gigabytes and gigabytes large. And those take hours and hours just to transfer. And that's assuming that the file already exists. Somebody has to build the file, push it, something else has to ingest it. With a Snowflake data share, what's amazing is that you can take that whole data set and not even just that what we transferred, because we always have to cut that down to keep it small, but a larger data set and just directly access it, which is really amazing because we can just take that data set and say, hey, you know what, we need to make sure that this goes directly into the Zeta data or vice versa. And so the idea here is that it's simply a share and that data is not even moving. We're just going and getting what we need when we need it. And so just the level of efficiency there for our clients has been really amazing. And we do it both ways.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. I mean, the amount of time and effort and energy kind of saved in that type of paradigm really enables a lot. I mean, not to mention even, with the level of data governance that you now have access to as well with these types of data shares with Snowflake, right? I mean, you'll be able to, as the customer in this case still owns their data and they can, control access to it, govern it how they see fit, and while providing a data share capability with Zeta. So that's pretty cool.
And so really the last part of the platform that we want to show you is our experiences and how we process all this data as it comes through. And so those events that we remember, I'm going to create a nice little example here. This interface allows our customers to create real-time and in-time customer experiences that are just ever living. And so as a client does something, you can create a decision tree so that users move through this entire flow. So we'll pretend that somebody logged into an app and we do have an entire ability to track unknown people. So with our site integration, you can even, in a app login would not be a particular case here, but with maybe something like a site visit, you may want to still pass them through a general experience. And so start with an event that they've done. We can add a delay. We can add other events in sequence, say, okay, they did this and did this, or did this and did not do this. We can add splits, but ultimately we're doing all this so that you can determine how to communicate and message a customer. And so we can say, okay, they logged into the app and maybe really basically we need to set up an email response to them. And in this case, they have a full-fledged email template builder in the platform where they can say, hey, we need to flush out all the email detailed message details, add the dynamic logic in here, and then send that message. But we also have a full set of channels that you can tap into where you can reach into both our native channels or custom channels per account that you can set up. And we have a whole suite of channel templates you can actually tap into to say, hey, this is how I want to reach these different customers.
So from here, right, what's next for Zeta, right? Like where do you see the product, 6 months, 1 year down, from here?
Really 6 months, a year from now, we're continuing to invest more heavily in our connectivity and ease of use of that connectivity. And so recently we've introduced things like our data connector, our channel manager, where we're focusing on no code interfaces for the marketer with a low code interface for like an initial IT admin or internal solutions architect that can actually map that end user experience more smoothly. We actually that interface is a full form builder that allows the marketer just select from dropdowns where somebody's actually preemptively mapped those dropdowns and those input fields to API calls, to what we internally have called as primer templates that we can map to data flow changes. But also in 2022, we're targeting a UI to allow clients to segment directly on a Snowflake data warehouse outside of the platform, where currently you can query against it. And we also have a clean UI, drop down, drag and drop UI within the platform for your data sitting in the CMP. What we want to do is make sure that that data that currently requires queries to be written to be able to be accessible for the end marketer. NoSQL dropdowns reach your customers without moving the data out of your data warehouse.
That's exciting. That's exciting to see. For our viewers here today, if they want to get in touch with you or learn more about Zeta, where should they go?
I recommend just going directly to our website at zetaglobal.com. That's ZETAGLOBAL.com. And there you'll see white papers and details about the platform and the ability to contact us directly.
And for everybody watching here, if you're looking to build your next application or business on Snowflake, check out developers.snowflake.com. My name is Daniel Myers, and this has been another episode of Powered by Snowflake. Thanks.